Hello everyone, welcome back to the Carly Adair podcast. I'm your host Carly Adair and I'm so excited because the Carly Adair podcast is elevating. We're doing better, we're doing great, and I want to take this to the next level because it is time to shine. So if you are listening to the podcast, switch over to YouTube because I am doing video now. I'm a video podcaster, it's who I am. I mean, I've been editing podcasts and doing things like this for forever. So it's about time that I do it for myself, and hopefully I'll have more time now to do something like this because I just got my first job out of college that's like not a retail job or part-time job. It is a full-time job as community manager at Geneva, which is like an app. I'll show you if you are on YouTube. It's an app that you can download for free in the App Store. Essentially, it's a group me sort of app, group messaging sort of app, but it's super Gen Z, super like user-friendly. It's way better than any of the other apps. And I want to tell a story on how I got this job, not like how you think. I'm not going to try to name drop as much as I can. Or I am gonna try to not name drop as much as I can. I'm gonna try to keep things like, you know, professional, clean, and talk about like what I learned rather than like the actual things that happened, because I procrastinated putting my podcast out for a month because I didn't want to speak prematurely about things that I was going through. And let me tell you, God was hardcore trolling me the past month. Like, I don't think I have ever had to trust him so much in my life. And the sun is setting, so I'm going to try to be quick with this story. But if you are somebody who's going through something, if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you are like pressing in, like there's so much uncertainty, if you're in college, if you're on the job hunt, if you're waiting for really anything, you know, that you need faith for, any trial or tribulation, I'm sharing my story because yeah, it's a success, but I was going to share it even if it wasn't, because I think I learned so many lessons in the past month that I wasn't podcasting, and patience was one of them. Like, do you know how badly I wanted to come on here and be like, I can't believe this happened? But I couldn't, because I couldn't bring myself to do that because I was trying to be patient. I was trying to be, you know, mature. I still probably shouldn't do this episode right now because I haven't even like started the job yet, you know? Like, I call HR, like I don't want to get fired before I get started. But I want to come on here and say like how my journey of job hunting for several jobs and working at Erewhon and the connections that I had and the choices that I made, like how God was moving through all of this and how my faith grew stronger, how people in my life, like I don't believe in coincidences. Like I don't believe that, like if you think that something is too good to be true or too insane to be reality and you just dust it off as like something that would happen as a coincidence, then I can't deal with that, because I truly believe in like divine intervention, and I truly believe that God was like intersecting in my life for the past like 2 months, and he still will in the future. And something that my church was preaching about last Sunday was we pray for something, we get that thing, and then we stop praying for it. And I think what I learned in this process was like, okay, like I can't believe that God is I am in utter shock and disbelief that God is trusting me with something like this, and that like I have to move forward and be really, you know, conscious of what comes out of my mouth, what I'm presenting myself like as to the world, and how to basically just like grow up, yes, but also just like, I don't know, like how am I like stewarding what God has given me, like, you know. And I felt like I was trying so hard to steward what was in front of me, and I just kept disappointing people. I kept being late on deadlines. I kept not getting my bank account balanced. I kept being late on rent, and I kept just like, I don't know, I just felt so defeated. Like I felt so discouraged and I felt so defeated. And I think what I learned through that was, even like I had to let go of so much. I let go of so much control and so much. I was just like, God, I'm gonna do my best and I'm gonna disappoint people, because you can only work 7 jobs, you know, like you can't work 8. That's what I was telling myself. Like, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know me, like one person can only work like 3 jobs tops. Like 2 jobs is a lot. Me, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do 12 jobs, you know, casually. Like I'm not even being dramatic right now, and go to grad school and do this and that. And so let's start from the beginning this is my story. This is, you know, how I got the job and what's been happening. Like I said, I'm gonna try to keep it like kind of clean and kind of cut because I don't want to get like fired or like speak on certain people that were involved in this process that, you know, whatever. But I do think I am gonna say like the truth of like everything that happened, because I love listening to like influencers and people who post online like real things that happened in their life, because okay, the sun's kind of going down, we're just gonna have like a little bit moment. I love listening to these because it makes it real. When you share your story and the truth of your story, it makes it real and it inspires others to think that, oh, I can do this too. So yeah, I've been listening to podcasts from tons of people for the past many years, and it's inspired me to look at me. I live in LA and I have my own podcast, and I'm a community manager at Geneva. So if somebody's story could have inspired me to become here, then, you know, I want to be that for other people. Even if I don't feel like I qualify, like I'm gonna share my story. So let's backtrack. So we all know I went to grad school. Everybody knows, like, it's literally my personality trait. It was for like 2 years. And we all knew I was freelancing. And when I stopped grad school, it was like, I'm gonna let go of some clients because, you know, my contracts are ending. I'm tired, I'm weary. Like, I just want to take a month off. And this was August. I was like, I want to take a month off, just keep the clients that I know that I want to keep forever, and just chill, like have a fun month is what I called it. And I want to like maybe get a job, a part-time job, which ended up being press juicery, because my mental discipline was out. Like the discipline that it takes to be an influencer, to be any sort of job, self-employed, to work from home, even like if you're a salesperson from home, whatever it is, I have so much respect for you, because I could never, like, I am learning as I'm like about to start a work from home job. What I mean is, like, after college, I was so burnt out from doing school and working full time at the same time that I needed something that was mentally breathable. Like, if I worked at Press Juicery, I could clock in, clock out, you know, it did not take anything out of me mentally. Like, I was not crunching numbers, you know what I mean? So I was so burnt out. I got a job at Press Juicery, and it was so hard for me. Like, and don't laugh, like, I was so mentally exhausted, I couldn't count the cash register right. I couldn't do anything like work. Like, I just wanted to like scan juices, like, and it was so mentally draining too, because nobody would go in, and you obviously weren't supposed to be on your phones. But I worked with a lot of people my age who were just like so negative, and you know, it was a beautiful experience. Like, I made a lot of friends there, and like I still follow them on Instagram. But something in me was just like, you can find another part-time job where you're like busy, because there was a lot of downtime, and I was like, well, I could be getting more clients. I don't understand, like, I'm tired from freelance, but if I can make more money from freelance, like, why am I at Press Juicery right now? So it didn't last very long at Press Juicery, and I started applying for other jobs / trying to get more clients. Like, this was like a really hard month for me, September, because I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, my bank account is draining. My car broke down in September, so I had to like find a way to like get around / pay for that, and I was just like all over the place. And I was just like, I want a full-time job, and I have applied to over like 200 full-time jobs. Like, I have applied to every single LinkedIn jobs. I would eat a granola bar, look at the brand, like a macro bar, scroll to the bottom, apply for their open jobs. Like, if you're looking for a full-time job, find companies in your everyday life, go to their website, look to the bottom, click on career openings, and apply for that job. So I did that to about every company that ever existed. Every company I saw on Instagram, I just was applying, part-time, full-time, whatever I could get, apply. And I was still working with a handful of clients, and I had a huge client in September, so I was like, you know what, it's okay that I quit Press Juicery because I have this huge client, she's gonna pay my rent for like months on end. Well, the client didn't end up paying me, and it was like a huge legal battle. I've never been involved in something like this before in my life. I had to send her a letter of demand. It was like not my personality, but I had to be a career woman and do it, because I was poor. I don't mean it like that. And so I was like, I had to take action, because, you know, what was I gonna do? I was counting on that. And that's also something that triggered, like, I don't know if I can be a freelancer right now. Maybe one day I can build up my savings enough to like be a full-time freelancer, independent contractor again. But right then and right now, I just had to be responsible, be like, I know that I'm meant to be in LA. I started singing at church. I started doing things that, you know, my friendships really started blossoming around September, October. I've been here since January. I started hanging out with like the people that I hang out now with like in July, August. So like my friendships like became more than surface level like September-ish. So because of that, I was like, I know I'm meant to be in LA, if not for forever. Right now I know. So I need to find a way to pay for my rent and just live here and like have the lifestyle that I want. So I got a call from Erewhon because it was one of the places that I applied to, and I was like, this is perfect. Like, I'm obsessed with Erewhon. Plus, if you know me at all, like, that is the trollest job ever. Like, I enjoy and love that so much. Like, I love just meeting celebrities and being in that world of like organic produce. Like, first of all, that's my vice. This is why I need this. This is why I need a job, because my vice, like my toxic trait is expensive grocery stores. My toxic trait is buying like beverages, like Olipop and stuff and everything like that. Like, my toxic trait is buying stuff like that. But also, like, this morning I had gluten-free, or not gluten-free, who am I? I had Chick-fil-A biscuits. Jaden bought me it to come to the airport. Oh, I forgot I was doing a day in my life for my TikTok. Everybody follow me on TikTok. My TikTok views have been great. Okay? Shout out to Kenzie Elizabeth for giving me the confidence to post on TikTok, because my TikTok is gonna be great one day. I like fully believe in an app now. I used to be a hater. My brother is famous on TikTok, which he's moving here, but that's a whole other story. So I started working at Erewhon, and I work at the Silver Lake one, and I was so excited to work there. Like, I loved the people that I worked with, and I loved, you know, the culture. The hours were great. Like, not really though, but I worked like the weirdest hours. Like, I would get up at 4, clock in at 5, and work 5 to 1. And then, so I would do socials the night before, send them off like in the morning on my break, and like post them during the day, and then have meetings for the clients that I got, because I got some really cool new clients. I'll just say they're okay sis, Maddie and Scout, who have a Geneva group. Everybody join the Geneva group. Well, they're not even my clients. I'm their intern technically on paper, because yeah, but I just work with them for their social media. They're so cool. So essentially I do that, and I took those meetings after Erewhon, and then I was still working. If you guys don't know, my like main client that I've had for about a year now is Kenzie Elizabeth. She's an absolute icon, a legend. She's coming on the podcast. She's starting the revolution of the Carly Dare podcast. Like, it is only going up from here. I'm claiming that. Like, not even guest level, because I'm having like small designers and artists just like Anna Koblish and Lucent Matter, like that genre of designer and Instagram person, like we're still gonna have on the show, because I love their artwork and I love talking about the creative process. Oh my goodness, whatever. I love talking about that because, you know, I love graphic design. It's not my, like, I love social media, which we'll get into the end of the story because the sun is literally setting. But I love social media and I love design, but I didn't go to school for it. So I love talking to those sort of people because it really like gets me. But let me tell you, I'm so excited. I'm recording with Kenzie on Friday, and I feel like I need to like CIA agent plan for this interview, because she is probably my #1 inspo. I've been following her on Instagram probably since, why did I say it like that? Instagram. I've been following her for like forever. She's been like my comfort YouTuber since high school. And I can't handle that I've been working for her for like a year. I edit some of her videos and help her with the I love you so much Instagram. So why do I keep saying Instagram like that? Instagram. So I'm just like really excited because she's really taken like a mentor, like role model position in my life. Like I just like look up to her when it comes to her relationship with the internet, but also just how she like handles real life stuff, as far as I know, just from like not really knowing her and just working with her. So I'm excited to like have an actual conversation with her on Friday because she's like the wisest person ever. So I'm excited for that. And so anyways, back to the story. So I'm working, doing those 2 clients. I let go of literally every other client. After that one didn't pay me. We're back, people. Okay, so let me just wrap this up because the sun is setting, like I said. The YouTube video I look really good in, so go watch it. So essentially I work at Erewhon and I really bond, and I knew every single day, like the mindset that I had, I'm getting too technical, but the mindset that I had during this time was like, what am I doing with my life? I thought when I started working at Erewhon, I'd be working there for a year at least. Like I was like, you know, I'm just gonna work at Erewhon and focus on my side hustles, like Carly Adair podcast, maybe put out a song, really dive in, because I was just like, this is gonna pay my bills, Erewhon's gonna pay my rent, I can use my money from freelancing to just like have the lifestyle that I want, which is like buying weird groceries and like subscription services, like I don't know, you know, just like I'm 22, young in LA, I like stuff. And so I was just like, I want to maintain this, like I know I'm in my grind era, I know I'm in my budget era, like I know I just need to like pay my bills and like mind my business. So I was like, I'll just put my head down at Erewhon for a few months and then I'll readjust, then I'll start applying to jobs again. Well, I don't remember how exactly it happened, but Kenzie, okay sis, like there's a whole also world of influencers who I followed since probably the dawn of time, like since in middle school. Like there's this whole like group of girls that I've just like never unfollowed on Instagram, just always followed them. And I realized they all had these Geneva groups and I had to join them, you know, because I'm like working for these people. I'm like, I may as well be in their Geneva group. I was like, I need to join these. I was like a late adopter, which is not like me, but I was just like, oh, let me like actually get this app. And I got the app and I was really obsessed with the graphic design and just the user-friendly approach it had. I loved the concept of a better Gen Z group me and just stuff like that. I'll get better at my pitch at describing it. I start on Monday. But I just really enjoyed how they were bringing people from Instagram to their app. Kenzie's community, I Love You So Much Facebook group, I probably pitched so much when I was starting my clothing brand Shop Local Threads in college in there. And I also just, I don't know, like I've also loved being a part of these podcast communities and influencer communities because I found people who were like me, and I genuinely didn't have that when I was at home. Like I would be surrounded in South Carolina by people who didn't have the same interests as me, and then I would go into these groups and find tons of girls with similar interests who wanted to support your business. They're all girl bosses, which I can't handle, but like they all had this like similar mindset kind of, and even if nobody's the same, like they all had like a thing in common, like they liked the person they were following or whatever. So I just like the idea, I enjoy the idea. So I got the app and I started just like perusing it, and then of course back to business. Like I was just like, I should apply for a job here. I think they posted on Instagram. So I applied for the job of content marketer, which would be the social media, because to me, I was applying in the beginning to tons of social media management jobs because I just thought that was the obvious next step. I didn't go to school for social media, but I went to school for communications and journalism, and my mind, like social media management was the next like best thing, which it is great. I love social media. But like if you follow me, like you know I'm a troll, so I thought that was the next best move. Like I literally thought that in my mind. But my prayer every day is, you know, God, this is what I want, but I trust that what you want is better than what I could ever want. So can you just make that happen? Like I trust you. Let's go with your plan because mine is not good. So let's just go with that. LMAO. So, but I seriously, like, I'm funny, yeah, but I had that posture in my heart. Like I genuinely don't, like I was just like really diving in, and I would show up every Sunday at church, not saying that you have to do these rituals, but I just knew like I shouldn't have tithed, you know, like I was broke. I shouldn't have, you know, been generous, and I shouldn't have whatever. And don't get me wrong, I am so thankful. During this whole season, there's so many people who paid for my meals, who've picked me up when my car is broken down, and there's so many people who have been in my life and supported me, and that's also a whole nother reason why I'm just like so flabbergasted by this whole series of events, because I'm just like, I can't believe that I've been held like this by God. Like I can't believe that he has me in his hands. Like for what? Like what did I do? Because I'm a troll. Like I spend all day, you know, looking at lesbian TikTok and going to work. Like I have no life. Kidding. But I have no like mindset. Like I literally say this all the time, but I don't think I knew what true love was until I started living in LA, or Jesus's love. Like I don't even think I understood the value of Jesus Christ before I moved to LA. Like I've always prayed to God and Jesus and whatever. Like I've always had that relationship with God, and I've always you know, been very like aware of like what's true and what's, you know, not. And I've just been really in tune with, you know, God, I think. And that's what I'm saying, like I thought that I was. And I just think moving here just like proved, it made it more real, honestly. Like when I'm just learning about Jesus's life on earth, like, and 2,000 years like really wasn't that long ago, people. And just like learning about like his life on earth, like I don't know, like it just makes it more real, and it makes the gospel more attractive to me, because I'm just like, I love the fact that Jesus exists. Like that makes Christianity so much more attractive to me. When I look at Jesus and not people at the church, trust me, it makes Jesus so much more attractive to me. So I just think like that's something that I want to make like one of my lifetime goals, is to like learn about like who Jesus is, become somebody who follows Jesus like crazy, like I am, but just like be really like, that's such a priority to me, like follow Jesus and be such like a reflection of him, so that people like see Jesus in me, or whoever else, like Jesus can show through anything. But just like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like Jesus is the one who like saves people, like he's the one who like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just so cool that like we have a human role model, you know, it's like not a real life person that like actually sucks. Back to the story. So I go to Erewhon at Silver Lake, and I am obsessed with the culture. Like I'm really in my optimism era. You know the girl who like had that Vine from Chick-fil-A where she was like, it's a beautiful day to be alive. Dream podcast, guys, we're getting her on. But she has like a different sort of optimism. I feel like I'm very optimistic, but like I feel like people think I'm being fake when I'm actually being real. Like I genuinely wake up in the mornings and I'm like, it's a beautiful day to be alive. I also am like, oh my God, I can't believe that like God dealt me these cards, don't get me wrong. But I'm also just like, I can't believe like I'm alive. Like honestly, I've had like an utter shock of being in Los Angeles since I moved here. I just can't believe it's real. So anything that happens in LA like is a blessing to me, like, and I'm filled with gratitude. And that's my actual mindset. And I think that's why I don't make friends, because it freaks people out. But whatever. So I was at Erewhon, and the girl that trained me, we won't even get into it at this point. Like I just love her, and I always will. If you're listening to this, Christina, text me back. But I love her, I always will, and she trained me super well, and I was in training, so of course like my work was not, of course I loved going to work. I was training, I wasn't actually working. I was just like watching somebody else work and getting paid for it. So why wouldn't you love working? So I was training, and the training process was so extensive, and as it should be, because Erewhon is very exquisite, they're very pristine, they're very like on top of their ish. So I was in the pre-pack section, which I can't handle. Like I was actually cooking, actually like doing stuff. Like I thought I was gonna be in the barista area. Oops, that word's like engraved in my mind. But no, I was in the deli, which I love. Like I was just like, okay, this is fun. I was like, the first thing I did with this girl was roll roast beef. So just interpret that as you please. But I was just like, there's no way this life is real. There's so many celebrities I saw. I said I was gonna try not to name drop, but every like little thing happened was so funny to me. Like I was like, there's no way I'm working at Erewhon right now. There's no way this is real life. But the reason I brought the girl up is because something she told me was, Carly, this may not be your dream job. This may not be your job forever. I'm gonna re-say that because it was so wise. Okay, this is the quote. Carly, this may not be your dream job. This may not be your job forever, but it's your job for right now, so take pride in your work. Okay, like that is the best advice I've ever gotten in my life. And from then on out, like I was like, oh shoot, like she's right. Like I need to take this into whatever job. And if, first of all, that day I was like, well, that's why I'm at Erewhon for my needs, is because I'm learning how to have a good work ethic, you know, take pride in my work, pay attention to detail. Because, well, first of all, if you've ever worked with me, or if you just know my personality, like you know that I'm a very, I do have some like I am, obviously I have a master's degree, like I'm not an idiot, but like I'm somebody who does bulldoze through things, and I'm not very good at grammar, and like it's just who I am, and I'm growing and I'm learning. And now that I'm a full-time employee, it will be something that needs to happen or else. But I really was taken back because I was just like, oh my goodness, like, she's so right. And so I was just like, I'm just gonna do my best at Erewhon, you know, like, I'm gonna take this job super seriously, like, I'm just gonna do my best while I'm here. And that lasted about a week. And then we went to Studio City. So I was training for the new location in Studio City. This is a long-winded story, but it trust me, you're gonna want to hear the end of the story. The end of the story is the best part. It has a lot of build-up. You have to know the foundation for like the victory to be worth it. So, because imagine me applying for this job in October, and it is December 8th, okay? So just imagine, okay? So I am working at Erewhon, and somebody posted, I don't even remember where we left off with Geneva, but I think they posted on Instagram, and I applied for the job. I applied for their, I didn't even finish this part, but I applied for their social media position, and I didn't get it. And then they replied in the same email that there was a community manager opening that they thought I should apply for. So I applied, I interviewed. It was a couple weeks, the process. But those couple weeks, let me tell you everything that happened, and I'm gonna try to keep it like, you know, professional and just from my point of view. But the cross-universe connections have been insane. Like, it's too much to handle. Let's talk from the beginning. Let's set my life story up. I started in Amish, Pennsylvania. Family of 5. Dad was a DJ. Mom, you can listen to the podcast with my mom to hear her story. But we broke as a joke, okay? And house fell down in 4th grade. We can do a podcast on that. Moved with my grandma, and then we moved. You know, my parents have been working really ever since. I bash on them, but trust me, like, my mom's an executive director at a nursing home now, and my dad has like a full-time job as a painter. So they're doing well for themselves, but it wasn't always like that, okay? And they gave me a great life. I love my life, but sometimes I think about how far I've come just because of the people who supported me. But like, I'm just like, whoa. So that can be another episode. But okay, so essentially I was working at the Studio City one. So we're opening a new store. It was super busy. There's tons of people. And I don't really get a chance to bond with my coworkers like I did at the other store. So I'm kind of dreading it, you know, because that's what I live for. I live with a connection, which is just part of the story, okay? I live for that. Like, I'm totally down for the downtime talk. What are your fears? You know, we're at Erewhon, okay? But I want to know my coworkers' fears. I want to know the relationship with God. I don't know if that's overstepping, but that's how I was at Erewhon. So, and I loved it, every second of it. I didn't get that chance at Studio City though. So I was just like, really, this was also the peak of the interview process. So I was like, I'm really hoping for this job. I'm gonna believe in it. I'm gonna pray for it. And I'm gonna put all my eggs in one basket, because I've never done that before really in my life. I've always been super spread thin. Like, I didn't really have a plan B. My plan B would be to just continue to work at Erewhon, and if I didn't get the job, apply for another one, because I really did learn my worth through that process. But it was like faith era. Like, I stopped trying to get new clients. I stopped trying to get, you know, I stopped looking for opportunities because I was like, I have faith that this is gonna happen. And obviously I didn't know the future. I'm not a psychic, but I just decided to stop looking because, first of all, I didn't really have a lot of time. Like, I was editing videos on my 30-minute break at Erewhon. And second of all, I don't know, like, I don't know. So I'm continuing life and continuing working, just clocking in, clocking out, and getting little bites of craziness. So the first one I think would be, let's start with the small ones. Let's start on social media. So obviously the job that I was going for at first was social media. So I'm obviously following the account on social media, and just, I'm new to this whole full-time job hunt thing. So just the fact that I was like interacting with them over DMs and over like Instagram stories and whatever, like, was already freaking me out, because parallel to the job hunting process, I was like, oh my God, like, I really don't think I'm unprofessional, whatever. And then continuing into that world, there's this influencer with 1 million followers. She's a part of the crew. She's friends with Kenzie, and she posted on her story that she needed a Facebook group or something like that, like a new place to put her community, which is literally Geneva. And I responded, but so did other people. Like tons of other people responded. I walk into Erewhon. This girl is there in the flesh. And so I say, this is too good to be true. I'm going up to her. Like, I have to. Like, there's no way. And first of all, my Erewhon era, like, the way that I looked at Erewhon was not regular. Like, I was in, my hair is so short that my hair had to be in a bun under my hat, because if I put it below my hat, then it would, like, my hat would fall over my eyes. So I had to just, like, put all my hair under my hat. So I see her in Erewhon. I go up to her and I say, hello, I work for this person. Like, so good to see you. Don't mention anything about the app. But moral of the story is, after a certain amount of conversations and a certain amount of things, other people DM'd her that this exists, and who knows, maybe her friends told her about it. But the fact that I saw her and later on in that day she was using it, like, is just funny to me. Like, it's just like some odd coincidence. Next odd coincidence, I'm sharing this. So Kenzie has a podcast, which is huge. I Love You So Much podcast. It's so good. Go listen to it. And she does recordings like all the time, and she's like flying around America doing recordings. And she did a recording with the person directly who I was interviewing with. And so once I learned, first of all, once I learned that the position that I didn't get didn't happen, and I was looking into this new position, I was like, this is crazy. Like, I was shocked. Like, I was just like, what is happening? Because if you read the job description for this position, it looked like my resume and dating profile like had a child. It was just my personality on paper. So I'm excited to start. I hope I don't like ruin it by doing this podcast, but I have been hiding my personality for so long, and I'm just excited to be taken seriously in a professional setting, but also just have the time to explore this podcast in a new setting. I didn't even answer the story. So Kenzie, you know, ironically, the same weekend where she had this podcast probably scheduled like months ago, like she does her scheduling, I don't know, we can ask her Friday, like months in advance. And she just happened, like the weekend I was waiting for an answer for this job, to be interviewing the person who I would be working closely with. So just like something like that was crazy, and I was just like, and you know, all the people that I've been working for have been, you know, in cahoots with this app. So it was just crazy, because it's like, I didn't start telling people about it until like the last 2 weeks, because I didn't know. This is a chance that I have in my personal life. This has nothing to do with a career, to kind of like let go of my ego and say like, yeah, this worked out. Okay, prosperity gospel. Something worked out for once in my life after 22 years of hard work. I mean, so many things have worked out in my life, and it would be a discredit to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to say that like everything else hasn't been like an above, you know, blessing. But this is something that's breaking a generational curse for me. Like, this is huge. And so I want to take it super seriously, obviously, and I want to be able to do my best and like grow in the career and learn so much and just soak up stuff like a sponge and just grow my professional career in general, but also be able to have the security and freedom to explore creative adventures that I've never had the chance to explore before. I can do so much better at my freelance work now. I can do so much better at, who knows if I want to grow this podcast. I'm doing so many podcast pitches and recordings this week now. And I can do so much better with, you know, if I wanted to do music one day. I'm literally recording and doing a performance for the nursing home when I go home for Christmas break, which is also so exciting, because now not only can I afford to go home, I can also stay, and I'm going to be gone for like 3 weeks, which is crazy. and I'll travel on the weekends back. And then when I get back, if you think about it, the next 3 days are the only days that I have to myself ever again in my life, because when I come back, my brother is living with me. My little brother, Aiden Adair, is living with me. Let's see how long we last in The Bachelor. I have a toaster oven now, so we'll see. But I really think that the future is bright, and that's the whole story. And there's so many crossroads, like there's so many random like little things that happened, and the pressure, and the story goes on and on and on and on and on, trust me. And I definitely shared throughout the process, but I didn't want to do that on the podcast because, first of all, I don't know, who knows, I get on board of the job and they could say don't do that. But I don't know, like I'm just super excited and super hopeful, and I think the direction I want to go with this podcast is just like really diving into careers, yeah, but also just people who I align with character-wise or don't align with character-wise. Like that's something I want to talk about. I want to talk about how are you showing up. I don't care if your job is at Erewhon or if your job is at the CEO of whatever. How are you showing up to it, you know? How are you showing up to whatever? Because that's what I think about. It's like I think about everything in totality, and I've been told my whole life this is the stupidest thing ever, but this is the hill I'm gonna die on, is that no, the person you are at church is the person you are at work. The person you are at work is the person you are at the grocery store. The person you are at the grocery store is the person you are in bed. The person you are in bed is the person you are praising God. And people will say there's time to mourn, there's a time to whatever. Yeah, that's like literally that, but you're the same person. Like you're the same person, like in terms of like whatever. And I do think that you can have different, I think what Ephesians really means, and this is me, like maybe it's misinterpreting, but my interpretation of like there's a time for everything is like read the room, be able to have empathy. Like if you're at a funeral and everybody's crying and sobbing and you may not be personally upset that the person died, like have empathy for the room and be respectful and, you know, love on the people who are hurting. That's what I got out of it. Time to mourn. Maybe that's just me. Or a time to whatever. Like I think it's like there's time for everything. And I also think the passage is like a great example of like there's gonna be ups and there's gonna be downs. But back to business, like I think this podcast is taking a new direction. I'm never not doing video again. I'm gonna blow it up on my TikTok. I'm so done of hiding. I'm so done of like being scared that whatever. And I'm kind of upset at myself because I wish I would have shared the journey, because that would have been something really cool to share with people. But I kept it to myself because I don't know, like it was just something I felt like I should have kept to myself because I didn't want to ruin anything, because I've had trauma in my life where I ruined things for putting it on the internet. So I've hope for a better future. It's gonna be crazy being home and seeing my family for the first time in like 2 years. But I guess I'm gonna say 3 pinpoints and then we can wrap it up. I think the biggest lessons that I've learned working at Erewhon and just over like these crazy amounts of trial and tribulation I've been through. Oh, by the way, my car is broken down like 6 or 7 times in September. It was broken down. Oh, this is another example of how like God is good and God is real. Listen to this and let me know if you would do this for a friend, because I honestly don't know. I would, but now I have to because it's been like it was done to me. My car broke down. The same day it broke down, I go to church. I meet with this girl. Literally, we're acquaintances, right? Like at that point, like we didn't really know each other. We met like 3 times. I mentioned my car. I'm just like literally had to walk here. And you know what she said? She says, you know what? I'm leaving for Thanksgiving today. Take my car. Take it. Are you kidding me? With my driving history, she let me take this car. And I don't know how to react from that. Like, I feel like I should like buy her or like literally make her cookies or something. I really don't know how to repay her for that. I'm gonna clean it, I'm gonna vacuum it. I'll get it detailed or something. I don't know. I really don't know what to do, because that favor, and she's gone until like she was gone like the whole time, and I just got my car fixed like 2 days ago, and my grandpa sent me money to get it fixed, and it was fixed, and now praise my grandpa, like I literally like now it's like I can return the car. So let me know. This was like a very truthful, honest version of myself and how I'm feeling right now. Like I said, like I am kind of on cloud nine. Okay, my takeaways. Number one, don't let the highs get to your head. Like, I know that I have so much work ahead of me, and I know that I want God to be a part of it, so I just need to like keep there. Number two, Christina said don't take pride in your work, and I think that's something that I need to do. And like by that I mean like doing my dishes as well, you know, it's like basic human function. And number three is don't give up, because there were so many times that I was like, should I move back home? Should I start freelancing again? Should I take back clients that I had beef with before? Should I do so many things? But I decided to keep going. And I've done that my whole life, really, is I've made decisions and sacrifices because I've had certain goals. And now what I want to focus on really is this is honestly like, it is not about money. It is not about, I mean, kind of about creative freedom, but really my heart is just so excited. On Friday, I'm going to a comedy show that my friend's doing. Like, I'm just excited to live again. Like, I'm excited to have a work 8 to 4 and then a life outside of work. I'm excited to go to dinner with my friends, which I haven't done in like 2 years because I've been putting in the grind. I've been working nonstop, and I've had a life, and I think I did really good at making the best of it. Like, I really do. But I really haven't had deep friendships since I moved here because I've been too work oriented, and not even in like a I love work way, in like a I need money way. So I don't know, like I'm just excited for this new era, and I'm glad the story is out there. The sun has officially set, which means this podcast is over. I hope I didn't get fired, and I'm excited to record with Kenzie on Friday, and I'm also excited to record with other people that I need to pitch to. If you have any like guest recommendations, can you just like let me know? And like, I know that I've been inactive on the Carly Dare podcast Instagram, but I'm gonna bring it back. I was just too poor to do that. So all right, bye.